Greetings, mortals, I am the Fallen Shogun, and welcome to a brand new series I've just invented called Fail State. Fail State is basically showing you games that exist on Steam but failed catastrophically because of whatever reason, so there'll probably be a few games you'll recognise. I'm not just talking about games which are buggy upon release or whatever, or games no one likes. I'm talking about games which made it to Steam through early access, made it onto there, and then were either outright abandoned by their developers halfway through who disappeared, or the developers stated that they abandoned it. There's a lot of games on the list. I've got like 30 of them I've bought at some point. And the first one is Necro. Now Necro, as you can see in the top right, the copyright is 2014. So the game's been out now for about 5 years. Now, you may also notice Skirmish is greyed out. You may also notice it says Necro Beta. And you may also notice if I go to campaign and start a brand new one, skipping you, and it still says there's a character coming soon. Yes, the game has been abandoned for 5 years. It's still in beta. You can't even get it technically anymore on Steam. It occasionally reappears, but most of the time it doesn't even exist on Steam. But we're going to go with this one as a proof. So, Necro was meant to be a game about you being a necromancer getting his vengeance against an empire or a kingdom. And the enemy was meant to slowly expand throughout the world, building towns and fighting you. So kind of like real-time strategy combined with Pikmin. So, what about it? Let's see. Hellfire, Explosive Scourge, Hellfire Scourge, Tremors. Let's go Hellfire Scourge with you. It's not. It's not anyway. So Necro, you control with WAS, you can shoot like this, you can jump, and you can eventually summon enemies by killing corpses and things. Now, there are also like NPC-like characters in the game too, which move about, like these little guys here, as you can see. They will pop up and move. There are also like skeletons, like trolls, stuff like that during the levels, but it was meant to be. The enemy had townies which built houses, townies which built things, and they slowly expanded. And the more you killed the enemy, the more the enemy fought against you. So you'd be fighting stuff like kill too many, maybe hunters and priests and stuff would come to try and wipe you out. What you instead got was a very, very linear game, but the very last update they did added in another level. Not the final level, another level. So you don't have townies who build things. Yeah, townies don't build things. No one cares about townies. They're just slightly more tougher troops. It's also a game which Total Biscuit believed in quite highly when it was in Kickstarter, whereas one of the bosses is Total Biscuit. Or Mayor Biscuit, as he's called in the game. And obviously early on you're very weak, but yeah. So the townies don't build. It's not as open world as it said. And obviously the game is completely unfinished. It still says beta even now. They literally outright abandoned the game and abandoned Steam so that people wouldn't be able to get their money back off. The company I don't think even exists anymore. That's how failure this is. But it was on Steam, so like I say, we're talking about it. The graphics were alright. The gameplay wasn't really what was expected, but it was quite fun at the time. It was actually very fun at the time. I quite liked the gameplay. It wasn't completed gameplay, but it was quite fun. Obviously, you have creatures at the bottom. You can summon different things. You can upgrade with different abilities and powers. There are 3 different necromancers you can actually use, as you saw, with a 4th one being promised at some point. Even though the game's been around for like 7 years now. And as you can see, it's actually quite nice variety. The critters, I've got these little things following me now. You can zoom in slightly. You can kill chickens. Every kill you get drops bodies. You can eat the bodies for blood and health, which destroys the corpses, as you can see. Or you can use them to summon creatures. Now, obviously early on we don't have anything. And the problem the game had was either they didn't know what they were doing, or they ran completely out of money and completely and utterly just stopped. Like I say, it's failed 4 or 5 years ago now, but it took 2 more years before it came off of Steam. So for 2 whole years, this game is being sold incomplete and abandoned. Now, Steam themselves didn't even take it off. It was the developers, or whoever still owns it. Now, you mentioned like farmers and stuff on the earlier levels. Then you have like woodcutters and stuff you can see moving around. There's also mentioned like builders and things who actually did stuff. But again, none of it ever made it to the final product. But again, it was also being sold for a huge period of time. Can I even kill the troll in this one? So what you got is this really half-baked, incomplete product, which has a lot of issues still. Like, a lot of it was either woefully unbalanced, or just not finished. So obviously early on you're pretty weak. Later on you start getting quite powerful, but certain things can wipe you out completely. Like the bosses were pretty tough. You gonna die yet? Thank you. And they've killed everything, and there we go to the next bit. It wasn't exactly that tough of a game. Because every time you died, you respawned. And it made it so that when you died, there'd be new creatures. There'd always be certain things spawning and stuff like that. There'd always be new creatures to get. So losing was just how much punishment you're willing to take, really. But like I've shown at the beginning, it still says beta. It still says there's a character you can get coming up. Yeah, you can shut up. And it's just a very linear, basic campaign. As you can see, you go from place to place. There's no hint of what the game was meant to be. Now you can build stuff, you can make yourself slightly more powerful, like you can do more damage, why not? You can upgrade your spells and abilities here, as you can see. I'm bringing myself some more scourges, why not? So you can upgrade things, that was added in. Things can change, you do certain abilities to them. And obviously you can see what you're doing, you see what the mission is. You can bring critters with you, but, you know. It just wasn't at all what was expected. Like, kind of like an almost open world RTS kind of game. And what you got was a really, really... shut up. Was a really, really cut down Pikmin style game. Even the music's a bit weird. Like, the music doesn't really fit at all with what the game you're currently playing is. Which is an interesting one. As you can see, this music, currently playing, it has nothing to do with what I'm currently doing. It's still fun. I wouldn't recommend it if it ever pops back up on Steam again. I would not recommend picking this up. Because like I say, it's a gutted game. It's nothing like you expected. And it's not really that exciting. I mean, it's alright when you have critters, but like the first few levels aren't that exciting. As you can see.
Don't forget to use your scourge for maximum damage.
I mean, you pick up certain things. Like when you do this level, you get ability to summon critters. The game itself looks alright. I like the style. The style, there was never any issue with the style. Obviously there was a few weird things with the sound. Like I don't know why they decided this was the right idea for the music for the zombie level, but there you are. But it plays as a basic game. Like a very basic RPG almost. But you use creatures to hide behind. Like I say, the creatures are fun. You don't get as many as you'd like. There are limits to each and every creature. So even if you do find fun in how it currently is, they even limited the ability to summon things. So you can't become a massive powerhouse. Because, again, you're meant to be fighting cities which expanded. So there's meant to be quite a large amount of things happening. But you didn't have cities which expanded. Because it was too much time, effort and money to do. So you have a really, really cut down Necromancer. Who has a tiny force. Let's go grab the book. And the special abilities, like I said, it spawns infinite zombie peons at specific points on each map. So you can't even really control that. It's going to summon one of these guys for each one grave nearby. as you can see, even more of them. They're not that powerful. And like I say, your special abilities aren't really that special. They're very much dependent upon where you are in the world. So even that is kind of cut short. You can't, say, pull the undead from the ground with this ability. They just simply exist because you're near a cemetery. You don't get special abilities from that. So yeah. Corpses, the more powerful the enemy is, like the more blood and health they give you. But you don't get special things from special corpses. So even that was like sort of neutered. I backed this game on Kickstarter. Because I remember seeing Total Biscuit playing the game. Okay, I turned it off. Kill them all. But as you can see, it's not exactly that exciting. Oh! And there's a boss just there. This is the game. Like I say, it gets more interesting with more creatures, but like I say, the developers just disappeared halfway through. There were rumours for a long time that they were basically cutting down, developers were leaving, they weren't finishing the product. But they managed to push out one final map, which is the very last map in the game, and people thought they're finally finishing it. No, obviously they didn't. And then, for 2 whole years, or maybe even 3 whole years, you could buy this incomplete product. I think they even got rid of the early access tags. So even early access was just removed to make people buy more. No one cares. As you can see, I now have a trinket at last. I still don't have any more critters, which is all cool. So yeah, even the necromantic stuff is kept for you for a long while. And what it does is it makes you choose sometimes between 2. So if you pick one critter to upgrade to, you couldn't then go, you couldn't choose the other one. So even certain things were lopped off. You didn't get a large amount of choice. And even that choice was destroyed even more. Let's get more. Let's make you more damagey. Give you more blood? As you can see, I haven't really got much choice on what I can pick up. I have no real equipped summons, that's fine, let's go in more. But yeah, we've gone through 3 levels so far in Necro Beta, this finished game. Obviously we're going to be summoning this music, this bloody music. And we're going to be summoning zombies. But like I say, I don't have control of this, they're just zombies. I just don't have access to anything. Now, obviously the other necromancers have different things and different necros, but your special trinket, summon zombies, that's there, that's it. And obviously, like you can see, different enemies have different amounts of health and strength. So there was variety in the enemies. The problem is, you start seeing them too often. There was variety early on. Like there's a hunter, there's a priest, there's the big boss guys, which you see. But you'd expect larger numbers of the weaklings, honestly. Large numbers of weaklings, large numbers of maybe zombies or whatever. So that you could actually have a real good pitched battle. But most of the time it felt like either there was a few weak enemies instead of throwing a lot of tougher enemies at you to try and artificially inflate difficulty. So even when you're enjoying yourself, it still artificially inflated how powerful the enemy was by only having powerful enemies. So even then, they kind of try to make it, I don't know, like I say, I'm saying artificial, but it's artificially lengthened it. It's artificially increased the difficulty by only having tough enemies. It's artificially lengthened it so that you had to spend even longer killing some of these tougher enemies. But it wasn't balanced. It wasn't done well. And it had so much promise. It had so much promise. Absolutely huge amounts. And ironically, this is the first one on the list purely because I was scrolling down and saw it and thought, fail state. That should be done. That was the very first episode of the series, so don't expect amazing things from it. Maybe the next ones will probably be more edited afterwards. I just wanted to show you that some of these games, they just appear, but they think they can get away with doing what they did by just quietly disappearing. And they shouldn't. You should know that these games existed and that they tried to take your money, and in some cases carried on trying to take your money by just selling it even after the game was dead. There's a load of games on the list which deserve to be noticed. Some of them still being sold even now. There's a couple of games on the list where the developers have actively tried to take sympathy because something's happened in their life. And you go, oh yeah, we'll be back soon, I'm sorry this bad thing has happened, please don't be mad, I still believe in all of you. And then 2 years later, it's still the same story, only they're not talking anymore, but people still defend them. Now it's understandable that life decisions happen, because I do a lot of indie games. I understand if one person's making a game and say something bad has happened, he needs time. But when they use it as an excuse to hide them not doing any work, then you know something's up. And a lot of them really did hide behind stuff. Like, there's a couple of other developers who made games and then just disappeared off the face of the earth because people were upset that they weren't making the game they promised. And we are going to cover them. We're going to cover all of them. Now, I don't know when this is going to come out. Maybe it's a Friday thing. Maybe it's occasional. There's only so many failed games on Steam. A lot of the games were intentionally built badly, so I can't cover those. They're intentionally crap. Oh, and you bet we'll be getting to Space-Based DF9 at some point. Space-Based DF9, the game where they said, we're not going to finish this game if no one's going to buy our unfinished crappy product. Yeah, that was a real one, weren't it? Now it's from a real development company who spent all the money on their other games on more marketing, rather than finishing the game. Yeah, you bet we're going to talk about those. As you can see, it looks alright. The style is very, very interesting. All the characters are unique. I'm never going to say anything about the style. The music does not fit with the game whatsoever. The actual sound now I'm hearing go oof oof is very repetitive and bad quality too now I think about it. It's very weird. But yeah, the actual sound quality of the actors' voices, even if it's just oof, 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 doesn't sound good. And the aiming isn't always aiming, like I'm aiming at that guy that's shooting over there. Very interesting. It's the village is on fire so they can all stop talking, but yeah, it had so much promise. Even if they didn't build a game which had, you know, the world stuff with the building, it could have still been a really fun game if they'd made it so that you could have more enemies, more troops, so that battles were actually quite big. Now it's fun having like 7 or 8 creatures following you, but it was only 7 or 8 creatures. You didn't feel like a massively powerful Necromancer, because you always felt like the enemy had more people than you. And in most cases, like these big guys, you had been more powerful creatures than you. Like, these guys are massive bullet sponges. Again, woefully unbalanced. I didn't actually realise until today, going through this game, how the music didn't fit in at all. I used to just take it for granted, but like, this sound is good. This is nice. But, yeah, the rest of the game feels like they built it on a massive budget and ran out of ideas. Now you can see. But now I get to pick one of 2, as you can see. So, I don't even get all the things. So I pick this, as you can see, it's one or the other. I'm going to pick the Skelebones. Now I can unlock the zombie too, as you can see. But it requires huge amounts of sin. As you can see, you can also use the sin to upgrade your guys. But you can also change what your character is. But I can't have Skelebone slashers and Skelebone archers. I can only have one or t'other. So it's locking you out by making you stick with certain creatures. And you can see here, increase the Skelebone cap by 1. That's it. I only have so many of them. So you only have so many of the creatures. And you can only pick one of each type. So even there, it's forcing you to only have certain ones. Now I know that's like common in this day and age now. Let's get the blood up. But again, you don't feel like a powerful Necromancer because you're very much stuck. How many of these can I have? Was it 1 or 2? What happens if I summon a second one? So to summon the creatures, each one costs a certain amount of blood. To get blood, as you've seen, you have to eat corpses. And you can summon troops from corpses, or you eat corpses. Now, if you blow them up, you don't get corpses. So I'm just going to eat you and you. Now, certain enemies do spawn. I can get to them, good. Now, certain enemies do, in fact, spawn over and over, like chickens and things. So even if you get wiped out, you can, like I say, get back up on your feet. But most of the time, it felt like... Oh, a sin. It felt like you were just doing a massive slog. Now, there are certain, like I say, neutral creatures on the map. Like I put one of these, I get this. But you can't regenerate them. They're very rare. And they usually die quite quickly too. Okay, grab all the health and the blood. But as you can see, you don't feel like a powerful creature.
Your minions will target threats on their own. However, by using the command. You again.
As you can see, you get more power as time goes by, but you don't feel it. Okay, eat that one. Eat that one. So I should only be able to have 2 of these, if I remember correctly. Got a sin at least, but yeah. And if you blow up corpses, you don't get them. So yeah, you got to use your abilities and kill the enemy. So you are limited with that, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I can only have 2. But it feels the combat was meant to be a lot bigger than this. And like I say, you are very much smaller scale here. It was just very much scaled down. Which again, is understandable if they ran out of money. But they just disappeared from existence. 2 sins at least. But you don't feel like killing things gives you much. Because it gave me 2 sins, but they're not secret sins, not special ability sins. I didn't get those for doing objectives, I got those by just playing the game. I had to go through this guy. I didn't have to fight the guy, I just had to go through here. There wasn't really too much, obviously they exploded complete, but there wasn't too much in the way of side objectives. So whenever you fought, you generally fought because it was part of the main thing. So there's no reason for you to go off the beaten track. Because the only reason I went to the left instead of the right was it said it was a danger to go straight ahead. Which obviously meant if I went through there I'd probably have died. So you either went that way, which is part of the main mission, or you'd have ignored it. But there's no real reason to go that way. There's no, at any point, side stuff. And that was meant to be. That was meant to be. The town you go in the Whizwag mines. And there we go. We've done yet another mission. What's that, like 5 just in this? It is what it is. But no.
19th of Mary, 499.
It felt like the missions were just cobbled together. Can't get those. But I can get some zombies now, so I'm just going to do that. We can only have like 6 creatures, as you can see. So, yeah, unlocking things requires a lot of sins. You don't really get that many sins. And also you need sins to upgrade your character. So you have this issue of, do I want more of the characters I've unlocked to make them slightly powerful? Or do I actually want more variety? So even variety was locked off. It's just a shame. It really is just a shame. I'm going to unlock you, why not? Oh, I can't. Cool. Okay, let's unlock the trinket slots and get this. Which, 15% chance a basic attack will spawn a sticky gooey pool that slows down enemies. But yeah, as you can see, and there's also like time limits. I don't mind that, but it didn't give you the variety it demanded. Zombie walkers. And like I keep saying, it artificially inflated difficulty by making some enemies super powerful. Like these Lumbros take a lot of hits, an awful lot of hits. Which means you're spending a lot of time fighting them. Even though you probably shouldn't be. And then you got to go town at the back.
Want more direct control over your minions? Use the summon key.
Dead. And the towns, like I say, were meant to do stuff. They were all meant to have special abilities, but none of them did. They just either hit you harder or have more health. But again, the environments would look nice. Never ever like say the environments were bad. It's just that what they were promised and what they were still promising. They were still promising a lot more stuff than this. Right up to the point they disappeared. Was completely different. I do like exploding things, but yeah. It's a game with a great amount of potential. A really nice looking art style. And they failed. They failed so dismally that the game just doesn't really exist that much anymore. It still says beta 0.8. Even now, 5 years later, it's just... It is what it is. But yeah, welcome to Fail State, where we look at games. Now, there's probably be more structured in the future. It's my very first attempt at this kind of thing. Probably going to have more voiceover of just footage I've recorded. But yeah, Fail State. The series where you see the games that failed so hard on Steam that you shouldn't even bother. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you won't pick this game up if it ever pops up. It might still be on Humble or G2A or something. I wouldn't trust it. But either way, shout out for now, people. Be awesome. Be epic. Tell me of any games you know that made it to Steam but failed so badly developers to abandon them. And we'll see if they can pop up. But either way, take care. Bye-bye.